Hey, what up? It's Ro. Just a couple updates. I haven't been updated in a little bit, so I've passed my 6 weeks on T, so that's cool. Today I went to go get the paperwork started to get my name legally changed. So I have to wait about 5 weeks. I basically just went down to this government building, submitted a form, paid $130, and submitted my birth certificate. You wait 5 weeks, they send you a form with your name, and you have to apply for a new birth certificate and then apply for all of your other IDs after that. So I'm really excited that I got that process started, and I am legally changing my name to Ro, and I'm changing my middle name to Walker, which is the name that my mom was going to name me if I was born biologically male. So, cool, I'm excited. The other day, I had a really rough day. I went to the gym, and normally when I go to the gym, I submit my student card, and they give you like this little access pass to get into the change room. Well, I went to the gym, and they were like, well, you need a new gym pass. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'd been avoiding it for a while, and I knew I needed to get another one. So basically this pass is like your access pass to get into the change room and whatever else. It has your picture and your name. So I asked him, could you please put the name Ro? And he was like, no, I can't do that. And I was like, well, could you try? Could you try and change the name on it? And he was basically a huge asshole and didn't try to, put the name that I wanted. And I got very frustrated and took my access pass, which is lets me into the women's change room because, as I've mentioned before, that's the change room I use right now. So, whatever, swipe my access pass, I open the door to the women's change room, I take about 1.5 steps, and I hear, hey, that's the girls' change room, from behind me. Now, I've never been called out like that going into the women's change room. I've gotten weird looks in the change room, but this was like a direct calling me out. So I turn around, and I'm already in a bad mood because this guy had already pissed me off earlier about this access pass. So I turn around and I was like, excuse me? And it was kind of a backhanded compliment, right? Because it means to this woman, I clearly passed as male. That's why she was calling me out. But at the same time, she's embarrassing me and making me feel extremely uncomfortable and vulnerable about having to use a women's change room. So I turn around and I say, excuse me? And she goes, oh, well, that's not the right change room for you. And I said, well, I think you should be sure of that next time before you open your mouth. And she was like, well, I'm sorry, but, look at you. I was looking at the back of your head. Look at you. I was like, what do you mean, look at me? Be sure next time before you just open your mouth. And, I told her to shut the F up, and I was just completely pissed, and I walked away. And that's not even close to how I would ideally like to react to that situation, but I was so mad, and she kind of came at me so rude that I just responded so rude. And, ideally I might have, said something like, this is where I fit best right now, or maybe even talk to her for a minute, but I just, couldn't do it. It was just one of those days where I was just like, fuck you, who are you to call me out on which change room I'm using? Never mind that I needed an access pass to get in there, right? So I clearly had some sort of way to get in there. Frustrating. That was a really frustrating day. I came out to my thesis professor, and as much as she knows and understands, she still is using female pronouns, so I've got to correct her because it's annoying. Also, I went out for beers with my dad tonight, and I was kind of nervous to go with him because I knew that he was going to ask questions about my transition, and we haven't had a chance to talk about my transition really. I mean, I gave him resources after I moved out to read, but he never really got a chance to ask me questions. So we went out nearby, and it was pretty good. He was using female pronouns for the most part, but he did use male pronouns a couple times, and you can just tell that he's not used to using them because he asks me questions. I told him about my name change, and we talked a lot about how my mom reacts to things and how he wants to fill her in on my life, but she just doesn't want to hear it. And so we talked a lot about ways that he could maybe bring things up with her, but not shove it down her throat. One question that you could tell he was awkward about, but he asked me about bottom surgery. And the way he brought it up is he said, I remember a couple years ago we were watching a TV show about transgender people, and I remember you saying that it wasn't about the bottom surgery necessarily for some trans people. For some reason, he has the worst memory, but he remembers me telling him that. And so he asked me about it, and I said, "No, Dad, I'm not interested in that." And he was like, "Okay, I thought so. He had remembered something I had told him from before. And, I explained to him that some trans people, that's really important. And for some trans people, it's really not. And for me, it's not the source of my dysphoria, and I'm comfortable, working with what I got." So I thought that was really interesting that he even brought that up. It was kind of awkward, but it was okay. And he mentioned that he thinks that my mom's biggest issue is probably with my safety. She thinks that I might not be safe navigating the world as a trans person, but I try to tell him that I can hold my own, and that shouldn't be an issue. And yeah, it went well. If I remember any other details, I will fill you in next video. Yeah, things are going okay. Been working a fair bit, trying to find some time to, relax and whatever. And yeah, school's been going okay. And I don't really have much else to fill you in on, I guess. I will talk to you guys another day.